Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to the only radio that matters, BBS Talk Radio. You're listening to The Art of Love with your host Lucia, only on BBS Talk Radio.
Hey, welcome to my party. Happy Easter. I hope the Easter Bunny's been good to you today and that you found all your eggs. This is Lucia, the host of The Art of Love. I am a dating and relationship expert, and as usual, I'm here in my secret downtown location on the 36th floor in Los Angeles, and I'm here every week helping you with your dating dilemmas or dilemmas. I haven't figured out how I want to pronounce that yet. And I'm here to take live calls. The number for that is 818-602-4498. I have great authors on, and I have a really great guest on today. It's Miss T, who wrote a book called The Player Slayer. And we're going to find out how to slay some players tonight, or today, wherever you may be. And I have, of course, other experts on with me occasionally. Items in the news. Actually, I was in the news this week. I was quoted. I was quoted in the Philadelphia Daily News, available at phillynews.com, Philly. And you can look for Janice Armstrong's article, and Janice is spelled Jenice. And I will talk about that later if there's time. And I also, of course, answer your emails. And I have a segment, Celebrity Corner, where I talk about celebrities in the news, but I have nothing to say this week. And, of course, I tell you about my week. And I had a really busy week this week. I did 2 radio appearances, one on the show The Game, and I discussed why I'm still single, though we never really got to the root of the problem. It's not a problem, just the root of the issue. Okay, it's not a problem. Trust me. It's not a problem for me. It's a problem for everybody else, it would seem. And I was also on Lady Eris's show. And finally, I did a TV show. I did Stuart Papp's TV show, Live from the Future with Stuart Papp. And that's available on thestream.tv. So you can get the links to all those appearances. Did I say links? I meant links. Whatever, links. It's hot in here, okay? It's like 80 degrees outside and there's no AC, so I think I'll be making a lot of mistakes today. On my MySpace page, and that is available at myspace.com/cougarexpert. And I do believe my caller is calling in. Or maybe not. Hello? She'll call back. We hope, we pray. You know, I tell people to call in at 5 after the other hour, and they all call early. They cannot wait to get on my show. So I don't know if you've noticed this week the effects of the full moon, and that was on Thursday. I sure noticed the effects, and it affected me, and I can't believe it. Hello?
Hi, this is Miss T.
Hi, Miss T. It's Lucia. How are you doing?
I'm fine today. How are you?
Great. How is your Easter going?
Pretty good. Had to cook, but no worries.
Yes, exactly. Well, thanks for taking the time out to talk to me today. You wrote a great book called The Player Slayer. Mm-hmm. And, I read it last year, and I read it in one day. I could not put it down. I said, I need to know all the information in this book. I need to know what's going on. And it's like now a quarter of the book is outlined, or highlighted, I should say. It's because, I was in a long-term relationship many years ago, and I didn't even know what a player was when I came out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I started dating someone, and my girlfriend said, I think he's a player. And I said, what's a player? And so, unfortunately, I found out. I found out firsthand. But if we have time, I'll tell you that little story. So, tell me, how you came to write this book, and then I want to get into the meat of it and ask you all kinds of questions.
Okay. It actually came about. I was sitting with some friends, just having a conversation as we would do, and it was one of those relationship conversations, and it just one of my girlfriends was just really getting dumped on, and then I was giving her some advice, and at the end of it, someone said, "You really need to write a book about that because it's just too much game out there." So I wrote the book.
And so obviously I assume it's from experience?
I'm sorry?
I assume it's from experience? Yeah.
It's from a lot of different experiences. Some
Yeah.
mine, a lot of other people's experiences. A lot of experiences from players. Was actually able to get some good advice from players.
Right. Oh, yeah, they love to talk about their players, their playing ways.
Especially as long as they're not playing you, then they're
Right.
open book.
Oh, yeah, they'll tell you everything. Yeah, I know. That's a great thing. That's where I get a lot of my information from. So okay, so how would you define a player?
I think a player is a person whose motive is to get into a relationship to get a person, to attain a person, but not to keep the person.
Right. And what makes these players play? You know, why is one person a player as opposed to someone not being a player?
I think
Do you think it's insecurity?
some people are predisposed to being players. Some people have they have a kind of confidence about them, and they've been allowed to have their way without consequence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that everyone who has their way without consequence becomes a player, but most players have that in common.
Do you think it's also insecurity that they're afraid of getting hurt, so they figure if they have a lot of women, they won't be hurt as much?
No.
No?
No. I've never really met an insecure player. That sounds good. It would make us all feel better when we go to sleep at night, but no. They're just so secure.
But at the same time...
They're very confident.
But at the same time, might it not be a false sense of security? Because the thing is, because they know that they're playing around, they suspect that everyone is playing around, and so if you start behaving the same way that they're behaving, they don't like that.
Well, players don't tend to want to play with players.
Uh-huh. Right.
They tend not to want to do that because then it's a different game altogether.
Well, then it's an equal game.
And the object is to outplay a player, and as opposed to conquer a mark.
Yeah.
But I just don't go with the school that says if they're caught up, they'll get hurt. I mean, they're human beings, and players do get caught up. But I don't think that they avoid it by playing the game. They play because they enjoy it and because they're good at it and because they can.
Yeah. I just noticed, like with my experiences when I finally caught on, that whenever I would do the same thing, they would get really upset. And, I mean, in fact, I had one guy climbing the tree next to my balcony to, come into my home to find out why I hadn't returned his calls. And another guy, after I moved on, he started sobbing hysterically.
They weren't very well. Players cry.
Well,
players do cry. Like I said, they are human and they get caught up.
Yeah.
And they don't want to play. They don't want to play with players, and they want their game to run the way their game is supposed to run. They want to direct the action. So the whole idea of the player is to teach you how to misdirect it, how to take control of it and direct it if you choose to play. How direct it so that you don't get hurt. That's the whole concept behind the player slayer.
Right.
You don't go in to win.
No.
You just go in to not lose.
To survive.
To survive.
If you're going to play.
If you play.
Right. So what are the players' rules?
What are the players' rules?
I got this from your book. I didn't mean to stump you. Page 36, the players' rules. No, it just says, someone will get played. The player who wins the game against another player. No, the player who wins the game against another player has a disgruntled player on his hands.
Exactly. That's why he doesn't play another player.
Right. Yeah, I guess we've already covered this. Don't play another player. Exactly. Okay. So how about moving on to the tools of the game, words and deeds? Tell me about that.
Well, players generally, they may start out with giving. There's the difference of what a person, even not a person, anyone, not a player, anyone, what a person says and what a person does. And in the beginning of relationships, what a person does may equal or even outweigh what they say. Mm-hmm. With a player, he will give what he's going to give. No matter what it is, whatever is easy for him to give, he will give at the beginning because that's his game. I've known a player who had a box of little rings. He would just buy little $50, $60 rings because he got a good deal on them, and he would give them out, and that looked like a great gift.
Right.
But that player had it at his disposal. I know another player who had lots of frequent flyer miles and an expense account, so he could whisk you off somewhere. Now, that looked like a great thing to do, but to him, it wasn't giving much because he had it at his disposal. They begin the relationship with giving those deeds, and the more in control they become, the less frequent those deeds are given, until it gets to the point where all there are words. There's just words, what he says he's going to do, mm-hmm. What he wants you to do, and what you do for him.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people, don't listen to what someone says, look at what they do. Whatever they say, let it go in one ear and out the other until you know who you're dealing with.
Exactly, because anyone can say anything, and it doesn't. And it may be heartfelt, it may be true, it may be an honest admission of what's going on in their life, but it doesn't require anything back from you. It just, I hear you, I understand what you're saying, and that's pretty much it. Because you said that I'm a wonderful person and I want to get to know you better, doesn't mean that I have to say, oh, well, I'll stop my whole calendar and make myself available for you. You don't have to do anything because a person said something. All you have to do is hear that they said it and respond that you understand that they spoke in language you understand. That's it. There's nothing required on your part. And we get trapped into responding to words mm-hmm. with deeds.
Yeah, because women, you can get them if you know how to say the right things to them because we're more orally fixated.
Exactly. And unfortunately, and I keep saying women as opposed to men because it's a little harder to say a he or she, but there are a lot of women players, and they play the game very, very well.
Well, it's natural.
Actually, most women players I know play it better.
Right.
But for the sake of discussion, we'll refer to the marks as she and the players as he.
Yeah, because there's probably more men players than women players, don't you think?
There are definitely more men players than women players, but there are some really great female players out there.
That sounds good.
And I tip my hats to the girls. I've gotten so many emails that said, thank you for acknowledging my game in your book. I know you couldn't go into it, but thank you for acknowledging my game because I am a female player and I'm playing my heart out. It's gotten a lot of those. Play on, play. Play on, play.
I heard about this notorious player, and he actually ended up getting played. He finally was ready to get married, and she left him at the altar, and then she married someone else that day.
Like I said, they fall in love. They really are, contrary to popular belief, players are human beings. And no part of the game is getting married. I mean, players get caught up. They fall in love. What they do within the marriage, unfortunately, sometimes revert back to the player game, mm-hmm. but they do get married, and they do fall in love, and they do hurt. So if she knew he was a player and she played it all the way to the altar, then there should be some women, giving her a standing ovation. Some women who were in his life, they should be giving her a standing ovation.
Exactly, I agree. I love the analogy of the garden that you had in your book about what a player's game looks like. Do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, it's kind of that was the book has the long-winded version of it. But it's the game is it starts off where you're kind of in your garden, watering your garden, and you look over your fence, and there's someone in their garden watering their garden and tending to their garden. And you guys start to, talk back and forth over the fence and everything. And, you open your door a little, and he's all bright and sunshiny, and his ray is shining in and warming up your garden. And he comes in just a little at the door, and he's, giving you light, maybe holding the hose over your garden. And it's all sunshiny, and it's all wonderful. And, he's really bringing you joy. And after a while, he steps back just a tad from the gate, and you're feeling a little less of the warmth of his glow, but it's still there, and a little less of the watering from his hose, but he's still there. So you've gotten used to that. So you kind of go a little bit into his garden, come closer to the fence, and when you do, he steps further back into his garden. Well, you're standing at your gate, and you're kind of looking back at your garden, not really paying attention to your garden anymore, because you're looking over at him in his garden.
Mm-hmm.
And you still want to make that contact. He's still warm. He's still bubbly and charming. So you continue to focus on him. And the more you focus on him, the further back into his garden, into his safety zone, he goes.
Mm.
So you find yourself still attracted to his warmth, because you remember how it was.
Right.
You reach out into his garden. And now you've left your garden, and your garden's going to pop, but you're in his garden now, and hey, well, while I'm here, maybe we can make this our garden. So how about I water your plants, and how about I tend to your garden? And he's, okay, yeah, why don't you do that? And yeah, let's do that, and I'll be right back. And the next thing you know, you're in his garden, watering it, tending to it, and he's not even there.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the house. Now, every now and again, he'll come out and bring you some juice or bring you a snack or everything, and it's all nice. He may come out tend the garden with you, but he's back in the house, and you're in his garden by yourself. After a while, you notice he doesn't really come out hardly at all, and when he does, if you ask him, well, you're going to tend this? Well, I didn't ask you to come here, and if you don't want to be in my garden, you can just leave. Well, you don't want that, because that's not why you came in here. No. I'll continue to tend your garden, because I'm hoping that I'm tending this garden for us. And after a while, you're in the garden just tending, and you look to the other side of the house, and you notice, well, there's another woman in there tending his garden, the other side of the house. And she's just tending, waiting for him to come outside with some water or some juice. And then you look on the other side of the house, and, well, there he is at the gate, and he's shining his ray of light into someone else's garden, playing his game. And there you are. You stepped outside of your whole realm, and you're sitting there waiting for your chance at him.
And that happens more often than we'd like to acknowledge.
Yep. And the moral of the story is, stay
in your garden.
Water your plants.
That's right. So, and the way to do that, and I love the story or the account you gave about emotional control, and the fact that on a scale of 1 to 10, you have to stay at 6, which prevents you from reaping the full benefits of the relationship. So talk a little about that, about emotional control when dealing with a player.
Yeah, I think that players, you have to understand that these people are very, very good at making you feel good. They do it day in, day out. They're professionals at it. They're good at listening to you, and we like to talk. We like to share about our past relationships. We like to say what worked, what didn't work. We like to give you that ammunition so that you can give us what we want. Well, the player takes that, and he gives you exactly what you want, what makes you feel good, within the realm of what he's going to give. We mistake that for genuine caring, and we reward that with genuine caring. Next thing you know, you're in love with someone who's just done some nice things for you.
Right.
Now, you have no one, and love is one of those things that I believe that love just is, and love just accentuates everything. If a person makes you warm, being in love with him makes you warmer. if a person, if love just accentuates the highs and accentuates the lows.
Mm-hmm.
So this person has gotten you to fall in love with them. And any little thing they do, because you're in love with them, it seems magnanimous.
Right.
And so you've totally lost control. You've totally lost focus on what is really real. The object of the game in dealing with players, or with really dealing with anyone in the beginning, is hold on to your emotions.
Yeah, exactly. Because that daydreaming that we all tend to do feels so good, which is like what you said, on a scale of 1 to 10. We want to be at 10. We want to think about them and everything we've done and everything we want to do with that person, but it's dangerous.
And you want to enjoy the benefits of that when it's coming to you. You want to go to those highs. But those as high as the roller coaster goes, is just as low as it will drop. Now, the ride may not be, that's why I say you stay in that 4 to 6 range.
Mm-hmm.
The highs may not be as high, but the lows aren't either. And you save that ride where the highs are that high, for something that's real when you know it's real.
Right, once he's proven himself. There's actually a psychological term for it. It's called projection, because we all have this ideal in our mind of how we want the perfect person for us to be. And so when we meet someone that kind of looks like they may be that person, we automatically tend to project.
Exactly. We project this film over top of his real being. And he becomes this beautiful, glowing, wonderful person because we've projected our film image. Just because he's done 1 or 2 things that we like, now he's that guy. Then when that film comes off, and he's the guy he is, and even worse, because his film has come off, then you're the person sitting there emotionally out of control and emotionally broken down.
Right. That's why I have this motto. I go, protect, don't project, meaning protect your heart instead of projecting onto the person who you think they may be.
Absolutely. Good motto.
Yeah, thank you. Because women they do themselves in because they signal what they need. They go, oh, my ex did this. Oh, I would never put up with that. Oh, I need this. I need that. And I guess the rule is to just shut up. Don't say anything.
Yeah, and you want to tell a person. You want to go in and saying, hey, it's not that I'm a bad person because I'm not in a relationship. These are the things that have happened to me. And you just give up way too much information.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do need to go in and just quietly listen. If you want to talk about something, talk about that football game. Talk about how about those Sixers? Talk about your team. Don't talk about your past relationships.
Or even if they ask, you can just go, oh, it just didn't work out.
Didn't work out. How was yours?
Right.
Our relationships were over. How about yours?
Yeah.
Let's talk about yours. Turn it right around.
Yeah, because
give him the same question back.
Yeah, because they gauge how you're hooked, how deep you're hooked by how you respond emotionally. So if you don't respond emotionally, then they don't know how deep you're hooked, and they don't know which way to go with the game.
Exactly, and the whole point is to get you to respond emotionally. So because that's what they're used to. They are used to, if I do this, she'll do that.
Right.
If I do this, she'll do that. The minute you stop doing that, you've thrown his game off.
Right.
The minute you stop doing what he's, even the minute you stop following what your natural instinct is. Mm-hmm. Think about what your natural instinct is to do.
Do the opposite. Yeah.
Challenge yourself with it.
Yeah, because there's been times when people have stood me up and they've not called, and of course one's natural instinct is, oh, I better call him and see what happened. But I don't. I go, okay, you know what? When he's ready to call me, I'll talk to him.
And when he calls, don't answer.
Right.
You don't have to answer on the first ring. You don't have to answer the next time he calls you, because there will be a time when you'll call him and he won't answer.
Many times when he won't answer.
Absolutely.
Are there?
And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I think that it's really a good idea, and this may be a bit tedious, but I think it's really a good idea to chart out these things.
Yes.
So that you can have a record of when the decline comes. You may not believe or want to believe that he used to call you 5 days a week or 6 days a week, and now he calls you once every 2 weeks. You may not believe it, but if it's there on a calendar, then just start out your relationship like that. Every relationship, it may be monotonous, but it's a cute little game.
Yeah.
And it gives you so much information to look at when those check marks become fewer and fewer.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I saw that in the book. Make the list of, all the nice things. I guess the nice things and the bad things?
Well, there are not going to be that many bad things.
Oh, in the
There's
beginning.
really not going to be that. You can just list what he does.
Right.
Don't even list what he doesn't do, because that become a huge list.
Yeah, that's true.
List exactly what he does. Not what he
Right.
says, but what he does.
Right.
And watch that dwindle, because that will be the determining factor of if it's game. The list of things he does will dwindle quickly.
As he feels that you're more emotionally attached to him?
Exactly, because he doesn't have to invest that much more of himself. He can then, once he's gotten you to that point that he has you under his control, he can move on to the next person. And that's how he's able to manage a few women at a time. Because they're all controllable.
They're all under the maintenance program.
Exactly, maintenance.
It's car maintenance. So what kind of traits or behaviors can we look for that might help us identify a player? Like one guy I was dating, he never brought his phone into the house. That was a big clue.
Well, here's a really good tip. You can when you're with a guy, accidentally dial him. See if it rings. See if his phone is on. Even if he does have it with him. If he doesn't have it with him, and that's a kind of interesting sign there.
Yeah.
But if he does have it with him, and he may make a big show of showing you it's right there, accidentally dial him. Say, I got to call my friends. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to make a call, and accidentally dial him and see if his phone rings.
Okay.
If his phone is off. Now, it may be on vibrate, but off means he doesn't even want you to think that he's getting a call. Now, vibrate means I don't want to be disturbed,
Right.
but I need to know if I'm getting a call.
Right.
And we all keep our phone on vibrate
Yes.
because we have a life.
Yes.
Players will turn the phone completely off. Another thing, if you're fortunate enough to start dating a player around Valentine's Day, see if you hear anything from him around dinner time, 6 o'clock. Everybody has if everyone who has someone has something to do on February 14th at 6 o'clock. Plain and simple. You have something that you should be doing. And you should be at dinner or on your way to dinner
Or getting
something.
ready. Yeah.
So if that player is nowhere to be found between 6 to 9, but called you at 3, may call you at 11, maybe 12,
Yeah.
then he had something else more important than you to do.
Or someone else. Yeah. Someone more important to do.
Right. Someone, exactly.
I know. I got a call once. I think he called like at 10:30 on Valentine's Day. Oh, I was working.
Oh yeah, I've gotten I used to. My favorites were I want you to be the first person I call. The 12 for oneers, and you go through your book that way. Well, at least he did call me. I have to work tomorrow, or I like to spend it with my mom.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, my mom. Yeah, okay. Like your mom doesn't have a life too, maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah, I like that one.
Okay, let's talk about something really exciting. Sex with the player. The best part of all.
Oh my gosh, it is what they do well.
So are you saying that if someone is really good in bed, that one should assume he's a player?
No,
Okay.
but
Probably.
players are good in bed.
Good. At least one thing is good about them.
Yeah, they are good in bed. Everyone in his bed is not a player, but all players are good in bed.
Right.
So, and they should be, because they get in bed often.
Right.
They learned that, and they take pride in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily a selfish act initially, although the whole process may be selfish. At that point, they want you to know how to feel how good they are. They are masters at the art of feel good, and having sex is one of the places they shine.
Right. They study and make sure they know where to touch you and when and how to make you
Absolutely.
freak out.
They make it that they learn it, and they learn it well.
Because they know that women usually get attached through sex.
Exactly. We misconstrue great sex for love all the time. Great sex is great sex. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, I have encouraged people who I thought that were emotionally sound. Yes. Is he a player? Probably. Should I have sex with him? Are you good? Are you emotionally okay? If so, go ahead. Can you have no love for him? If you can keep your head and your heart in check, go get some. Go ahead. Why not?
Yeah, go get you some good sex.
Exactly. Go get you some good sex.
And learn.
That way you have, yay.
Learn from the next guy. So you can tell the next guy what to do when he's not a player.
Right. The next nice guy. You might be able to help the next nice guy who's not a player.
Yeah, I know, because there's been stuff guys have done to me, and I'm like, how did he do that? I need to find out so I can tell this other guy what to do. I don't know what to do.
Excuse me, but can I ask you to call this guy and give him some pointers? Because you are really, really good at that.
Yeah, and if you sleep with a player and you don't tell him how good he is, don't you think that kind of makes him wonder?
No, they know.
Oh, even
they know.
If you're not saying, "Oh my God, that was so good, I can't believe it."
They know. You don't have to. You don't have to tell a person that it was good sex, because sex tells itself. Good sex. It's a tell.
Yeah, because
you know right then and there. It's not something you have to find out the next day.
You mean by the reaction, by the orgasm?
Yeah, like, okay, that was good.
Okay, we know she had fun. I had sex with this guy, and I don't know, he was kind of a player, not really, but he says, "Oh, you're going to be calling me all the time, wanting me to come over," and I'm thinking, yeah, right. And I didn't call, and a week later he calls and goes, "Oh, you just used me like a tissue and then threw me away."
Pretty much, I guess you did, but thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Did you at least thank him? Did you say thank you?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
But
at that point your answer, I'm sorry, but thank you.
Yeah, it's so funny, because if you treat guys the way they treat women, like an object, like you just want to have sex with them, they're like, "What? You just want to have sex with me? You just want to use me?"
Exactly.
They're not happy about it either, so now they know how it feels when a shoe...
They're also so unhappy with you. Even guys that aren't players, they're so unhappy with the flip side of you having sex and getting so emotionally caught up. They're so unhappy with that, too, getting carried away because of sex.
Yeah. Yeah, so what are you supposed to do? Either way, it's like you can't win.
Yeah.
So when
men have much bigger issues with sex, I think, than women do.
Yeah, we're finding that out. When should you not play a player?
You should never play a player when you should not play with a player when you are emotionally not level, when you've just gotten out of a relationship, when you feel that, or when you're angry, or when you're bitter. The only time I think you should play with a player is when you're at total peace with yourself. When you get to a place when you're okay with yourself, then if a player comes along and you recognize him as such, but you just want to play along because, hey, I can stand some fun. I'm not falling in love with him, but I can stand some fun.
Yeah.
Then you go ahead.
I think
else, at the point you recognize he's a player, you should stop.
When you recognize, okay. So if you're not emotionally ready, then once you recognize he's a player, get out.
Get out.
But otherwise, if it's okay, if you know he's a player, I think it's the problem I have with players is we don't know they're players. But it's like, okay, if I know who you are, then I know who I'm dealing with, and I can decide whether to stay or go. But if I don't know you're a player, then you're pulling me in, and I don't know who I'm dealing with.
Exactly. I have a friend who dealt with a player, and she said if he had just told me at the door, there's a 50-50 chance that I'd still have said yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the very, very few players are going to walk up to you and say, "Yes, I'm a player. I admit it freely." Now, there are a couple.
Yes, which is another way of playing.
Still fall in love with them. They still try to change them. They still project the right guy image on this person because they think that this relationship is special now.
Right.
You've just not had me. I'm the one you've never had. And they've even said, "I'm a player at the door. You knew I was a snake." It's the old story where the little boy finds the wounded snake and he takes it home and he nurtures it and keeps it warm and heals it. And as soon as the snake is well and he bites the little boy, he says, "What did you bite me for? I've been taking care of you. You knew I was a snake. When you picked me up, you knew I was a snake."
Right.
Women sometimes see a guy and know that he's a player, but they think that you just haven't found me yet. When you think that you can change the way a person is, then that's when you should not be messing with a player or anyone else.
Right. Exactly. So then when do you leave?
Leave. When you're dealing with a player, you never stay too long.
Yeah.
If the longer you stay, the better the likelihood is that you're going to get played. These are it's like jumping in a ring with a professional boxer. Okay, you might tap him a couple times. Get a good round in or two. But the longer you stay in there, the more likely he's going to knock you out. Get out. Get in, enjoy the round, get out. That's it. Don't play with him.
Yeah, and you've got some rules here, too. I'm just going to go down a few of them. When he stops trying to spoon you all night.
Oh, yeah, that.
Well,
you absolutely know that. They all start off cuddling, and when they turn around, you know that it's...
Something's up.
Yeah, something's up. We've turned to that side now.
Yeah.
We've turned to the dark side.
Yeah, I always watch that. When he only calls as a response to your call.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's a bad sign.
That's a bad sign. And again, if you were keeping a chart, you'd know that.
Yes, you would. When his half-assed confirmations continually result in no-shows.
Mm-hmm.
And when it ain't fun anymore.
It ain't fun anymore.
so there.
Too long we stay in because it used to be fun.
Yes, we think of the past.
It did, but it ain't.
We think it's going to come back.
Yep, we keep thinking, we keep hoping because we saw it before. Yes, you saw it, you had it, chalk it up. You should have left when you had it, when it started to go down. And again, as you say, we project what we want to see onto this person.
Yeah.
And as the more he shows us something different, the more we try to keep that image of what we want him to be there. Look at him. When a person shows you who he is,
right.
Believe him. And if it's not good for you, leave.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote an article on players a while back, and the first rule was assume any guy that asks you out is a player. Do you think that's a good rule?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Assume any guy who asks you out is a player. That way, until he's proven that he isn't.
I don't say assume that they're players, but I say treat them the same way. Treat them as if. Don't assume that they are.
Okay.
That's real. Okay. But treat everyone the same way. Don't give too much from the door. So, in that respect, yeah, it's really saying the same thing.
Yeah, you're just being nicer about it. I say assume, you say treat. and then I said, find out for sure. And then once you find out for sure, then you can either decide to stay and play or get out.
Maybe a long time before you find out this for sure. Unfortunately, sometimes the way you found out from sure is when you've gotten played.
But don't you think it's always like in the details, the little clues that give them away?
There are, but you have to be willing to watch the clues.
Which most people
But that's in any relationship. You have to go in with your eyes open and your heart shut. Any relationship. You have to look at it for what it really is. Now, that good relationship, the cream will rise. That player's relationship, after a while, even if he has to give his A game because you're not responding, after a while, it will dwindle away. But the cream will always stay on the top.
Yeah.
So you go into everything with your heart shut and your eyes open.
Right. Yeah, because I think people, they're so caught up emotionally, as we mentioned before, they don't notice the little things. Like one time I was dating two guys and they didn't know about each other. And one guy was, well, they were both players, so you know what, they deserved it. So one guy was over and then he left and then the other guy happened to call me. So I'm like, all right, come on over. And I happened to have the toilet seat up, but only because I had sprayed that Lysol thing to clean it.
Right.
So because this guy was a player, he was suspicious. So he saw the toilet seat up and he goes, how come your toilet seat is up? And luckily I had the excuse of, because I sprayed Lysol.
Right.
Because otherwise he would have been, why is your toilet seat up? He knew something was up. But then I got not caught, but one time I was with the first guy. It was like 2 a.m, and the second guy decides to call, and I didn't answer, and I would always answer. And so he called like 6 times in a half hour. And the other guy's like, something's up. So there's always clues if you're willing to, pay attention.
Exactly. You were giving up those clues, and you were playing, and that's game.
Yeah.
Well, admit it. At the point that you don't tell someone that you are seeing other people,
you're a player.
Then you're playing.
Right.
And even if you do tell them, they still might just be playing. It's about your intent.
Yeah.
Now, if everybody's in it to have fun, then it's fair. Even if he is a player. If you're saying, hey, you're a player, I want to have fun. You want to have fun? Yeah, let's just have fun. Then there's no game. Doesn't matter what he is.
Exactly.
Then we're just playing. There's no foul.
Yeah.
It's only a foul when he's trying to get your heart to just get it.
Yeah. Just to get it and throw it away afterwards.
Throw it away, just to put it in. Yep, got that one. Next.
Leave a trail of broken hearts behind.
Exactly. Exactly.
And like you said, there's no expiration on game.
No.
So they'll just keep doing it until they get you.
Because it doesn't really take a lot. They're very good at manipulating the situation and manipulating their time so that they can give you what looks like a lot of attention and give someone else what looks like a lot of attention and maintain that until they need to give you more. And it may look like they're just really dogmatic about being with you and really want to be with you, but they're just, if you really look at, okay, how much is he really doing? You might find out that he's just making 4 phone calls. That's it. He may talk to me all night long on the phone because he likes to talk all night long on the phone. Some people like to lay in bed with the phone in their ear and talk.
Right.
So they can't sleep.
Right.
Now, to you, that might look like he's into me.
Yeah.
To him, it's just, I'm talking to somebody tonight, and tonight is you.
Right. What if someone's calling like you every day, 3 to 4 times a day? Do players do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's part of some players. That's part of their game.
Wow.
Because it looks like sincerity.
Yes.
He can't be playing because he would get tired. No. That's part of his game. How hard is it to push to, he may even have you on voice tag. How hard is it? I mean, the game is much easier now. So it's so easy to call this person, call the next person, call the next person. Next half an hour, call them all again.
Right. Yeah, that phone, I think, but often it gives you clues to what's going on if you pay attention.
If you pay attention.
Yeah. So do players ever stop playing?
Yes.
When?
But because in their time, on their clock, and for their reasons. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just don't get around to it. They die first.
Don't you think it's sad to see an old player?
Oh, yes. But I know some, and I think of them fondly.
Oh. like a nice grandfatherly figure.
I know an old player, and he in his day he must have been amazing. And he's such he's a dancer. I love those dancing players. dance their way into your hearts. And he's such an old guy, and he's still just so light on his feet. And you can tell that, man, if this man was 30 years younger, he'd have wore me a brand new one. Been no way I could have escaped that game. No way. And, they're still happy that they still have a little game. But, they kept the person in their life. At some point in time, they realized, I better get somebody. And they've managed to keep that person in their life. And hopefully they're able to retire from the game, and that person that they saw that they wanted, they were able to hold on to. Hopefully.
So, this guy you were talking about, this older player, what was it about him that made him so amazing, that made you think, well, 30 years ago I would have been in trouble?
He's a magnificent dancer, just light on his feet and everything, a ballroom dancer, all couples dance, salsa, everything that requires that he holds you. And even now, when he holds you, it's the feeling, you get a feeling that this man knows how to hold a woman. Even at this stage of the game, he knows how to hold a woman. And there's something very sexy about a man who knows what he's doing.
Oh, yes. Because most men don't.
Ooh! And that's the problem with the players. They know you know. They know what they're doing. And they know how to let you know that they know. And it's very sexy. Yeah, very attractive.
They study women. They study their prey. They figure out what they need and want, and they give it to them.
Exactly. It's something that they do every single solitary day. Consciously or not, they do it every day. They play every day. It's not what they do, it's who they are.
Wow. And do they ever fall in love?
Players?
Yes, players.
Yeah. Yeah, they're human. They fall in love, they get married, and some of them even try to stop playing because they've done that. But unfortunately, with life, when the trials and tribulations come, and you're uncomfortable, and you're feeling insecure about this new person that you are, your wife isn't that happy with you, or things aren't going well at work, you revert to the things that make you feel good, the things that you can do without thinking about, and you can play that game. So unfortunately, a lot of players, once inside of a marriage, they revert back to the game because they know they can do that. And being a player, not only can you play the game, but you can maintain a marriage as well. Very few of them can. Sometimes they do. Most times they don't.
Right. Well, we just have a few minutes. I'm going to go over some of your rules, your final rules, as I call them. Don't react to words with deeds. React to them with words or nothing at all.
Exactly.
So words get words, deeds get deeds. I think that's really important.
Words get words, deeds get deeds.
And
deeds sometimes get words.
Well, yeah, that's good too.
Yeah, you don't always have to respond in kind.
Right, that's true. Remember not to confuse acting in a loving manner with love. Until you're sure it's love, treat it like a game.
Treat it like a game until you're sure.
Don't think that you'll make him change his playing ways. Only he can change himself, and only in his time.
Right, in his time, not your time, his time, if he's going to change.
Exactly. Remember to keep a chart documenting his deeds. It's the easiest way to know when they've stopped. Otherwise, you may be engulfed in the game to notice.
Absolutely. Keep it operator.
And don't give anything you don't want to give when you don't want to give it.
Exactly. Keep everything. If you don't want to give, if you don't want to do this with him, if you don't want to give this with him, then don't give it to him. Don't do anything you don't want to do.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times, we feel like we don't go with our feeling or intuition. We don't want to really do something. We think, well, I'll just do it this one time.
Right. Don't do that just one time. Don't do it any one time. Do it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously the most important is know when it's time to go.
That's right.
And
know when it's time to go. The strong give up and walk away, while the weak give up and stay.
I know. I was just about to say that. And, when I first read that, I told a friend of mine, and she was going to put it on her MySpace page. Because that's so true. The strong give up and move along, and the weak give up and stay. And that's how you end up being caught up in the game.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sure everyone learned a lot. I know I did. Thank you so much for writing this book.
Thank you very much for reading it.
Oh, please. I was carrying it around in my purse everywhere I went. It's like, oh, I got to refer to this.
That's why we made it small.
Right. So you can.
That's why we made it for the pocket. It's the pocket guide.
The pocket slayer. And you know what? If you meet a player, you just hold it up like a cross. Like, get away from me. I have the player slayer with me. You can't touch me.
That's pretty funny. I like that.
The book itself is the player slayer, not the information. Just the holding up the book will
That's
slay
the
a player.
book. Well, leave her alone. She knows a few things.
Exactly. So again, the website is theplayerslayer.com, and have a great Sunday, and thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. You take care.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So I think I'm ready to wrap this up. Sam? My engineer is out in the hall. I'm supposed to end, but who knows. Here, let me talk about the full moon. La 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 la. I'm ready to end. If you're ready, I'm ready. I guess I'll have to talk about the full moon next week, and I had such exciting things to say about it, but we ain't got no time. All right, happy Easter again. Thanks much for joining me, and I'll see you next time on...
You're listening to The Art of Love with your host, Lucia, only on BBS Talk Radio. It's